We got our Burning Crusade back. The next step, Classic Plus. These are all the changes for Burning Crusade Classic Anniversary. Frick. Players on the players battle account raids. I'm literally. Oh my gosh. Gentlemen, ladies, big news today. It has finally been announced. The Burning Crusade is on the horizon. The Burning Crusade will return, chat. It has been re-released. Yes, Burning Crusade is back, baby. Burning Crusade is back. Burning Crusade is back, and we are still not prepared. We've never been prepared. It doesn't matter how many times you do it. There's actually a lot to talk about. I haven't looked through the entire announcement, but I've heard some rumblings, okay? I've heard some rumblings, I've heard some things. Off the cuff, we're gonna hit it. There's some good, there's some bad. I haven't looked through the entire announcement. I was busy, I was working this morning at my job. I go to Twitter, lo and behold, the Burning Crusade has been announced for January. The pre-patch, I believe, is on January 13th. Meaning we're probably looking at a February Burning Crusade. Burning Crusade is my favorite expansion. It's my favorite time in WoW. I love Burning Crusade. That's when paladins get their wings, okay? Just like me, I just got my wings, okay? I got my wings in real life. I'm gonna get my wings in game. All right, we're getting the wings back. You get Crusader Strike, you get a lot of fun stuff, right? For Retribution, you get the Seal Twist, the Seal of Blood. Super, super excited, okay? Super, super excited about Burning Crusade. This announcement came out earlier today. I haven't looked through it yet, and there's been some kind of like mixed opinions. Now, I wanna go through the whole thing. Oh, that's a long fade. WoW Burning Crusade Anniversary Edition arrives January 13th, arrives January 13th. Prepare to tread once again through the dark portal and into the fell-scarred realm of Outland with the WoW Burning Crusade Classic Anniversary Edition. Launching early next year, included with your WoW subscription or game time. Okay, so, you know, I mean, a lot of this stuff is stuff that you already know. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of speed through this and I'm gonna summarize it. Okay, you know that it's built into the subscription. You know that it's, you know, the first expansion, all that stuff. So it's gonna be January 13th. And it's going to take the Classic Anniversary servers and it's going to move them to Burning Crusade, right? It just progresses just as it does with any other normal expansion, okay? Is Burning Crusade the best expansion? Is that why people are excited? You can ask anybody what the best expansion is, and everybody will give you a different answer. Prepare to tread once again through the dark portal in the fell-scarred realm of Outland with Burning Crusade. It's coming January 13th with normal maintenance, right? It's coming with normal maintenance. New features and adventures await. So what you're gonna get is, this is gonna be all as expected, right? This part. You get Outland, it's going to level 70, it's adding the new raids. They're announcing it almost like this is a new release for something. The reason why Blizzard does this, and they're gonna go and announce something as if it is a new release, is because there are a lot of people that are playing WoW for the first time. Believe it or not, there are a lot of people that are playing WoW, even today, even Classic WoW for the first time. There's new players all the time. So whenever they announce something, they want to give you the whole, they're going to give you the whole inch, okay? They're going to give you the whole spiel. I used to have a football coach that said, give them the whole inch. Wait, that same coach used to say, bite the pillow. Anyway, and let's keep going. It basically explains what is Burning Crusade. Oh, you get Blood Elves and Draenei. You get all this different stuff, right? Very, very like, this is all as expected, okay? The Blood Elves are gonna be going to the Horde, that's the new race, and they're gonna be able to be Paladins, right? You give Paladins who used to only be for the Alliance, Paladins could also be Blood Elves on the Horde side, okay? That's significant. Then Mages, Hunters, Rogues, Priests, Warlocks. Then you have the Draenei for the Alliance side. So the Draenei can be Paladins as well, but they can also be Shamans, which were only for the Horde side before. So now you can have Alliance Shaman, and you get Warriors, Priests, Mages, Hunters, and is that it? I think that's it. Warriors, Paladins, Priests, Mage, Hunters. Yeah, so that's what you get. They're adding a new profession, jewel crafting. These are all like key features of Burning Crusade, and it highlights all those. So fast forward, we'll just run through that real quick. It talks about the raids, Karazhan, Gruuls, Magtheridon. Oh, this is just on launch, right? So this is saying it's launching into phase 1, season 1, first patch. God, amazing. Dude, some of my favorite streams in Burning Crusade Classic was Pug Gruul's lair and Pug Magtheridon's lair. before they nerfed it. They nerfed these going into phase 2 of Burning Crusade, and complete ass. Phase 2, you're adding new content, you're adding new gear. There's a natural progression of buffing the character. And then on top of that, they also nerfed the content. So you had this happen, you move the goalpost in two opposite directions. You're moving both posts in opposite directions. So whenever that happens, it gets way too easy. In fact, it gets so easy that it is completely unfun and it feels like a chore. So this is something that they did in phase 2 of Burning Crusade, and they also nerfed Serpent Shrine Cavern. And this is the next tier. They nerfed the next tier before the 3rd tier came out. So before Black Temple came out, they nerfed SSC, Serpent Shrine Cavern, and they nerfed Tempest Keep. So they nerfed SSC and TK before the planned nerf of the next patch because guilds could not clear the last boss. Even 20 years later, in Burning Crusade Classic, people were having trouble killing last boss and they decided to nerf it early, which is insane. But I feel like that is not a proper way to handle that problem. I'm going into a rant instead of going through this. So let's just go through, and I'm getting worked up a little bit. So let's just keep going through and then I'll come back and I'll talk about everything. So PvP Arena Season 1, are you ready to rumble? There will not be a ranking system associated. Okay, so this is all the same. This entire thing is they're just talking about it as if it's like a new release. This is all the stuff we know. Is there anything special? Oh, here are all the changes for Burning Crusade. Okay. Oh shit. These are all the changes for Burning Crusade Classic Anniversary. Frick. Okay. I've always been somebody that has said you need to account for the times. You need to have some things changed. You need some changes. You need to account for the times. But it's very delicate and it has to be done the right way. PTR will open soon this week. The first patch unlocks Outland, allows testers for level 70. The following changes are coming to Burning Crusade Classic patch 2.5.5 and are planned for testing in the PTR. Okay, so these are going into testing. Heroism/Bloodlust is now raid-wide with a 10-minute sated/exhaustion debuff. Ooh, this specific ability/debuff will only to reset on boss kill and white. Ooh, that's a big change. That is a big change for raiding. For most people that aren't trying to min-max to the nth degree, this is not that big of a deal. They don't like, this might not matter to like somebody who's not trying to min-max. If you're like a min-maxer trying to push damage and stuff all the time, on one end, you might be like, oh no, my heroism. I needed 8 shamans and just rotate mid-fight, rotating shamans to get heroism. That is cringe. That is so cringe. That was dumb. This is a good change, okay? You get 1 heroism, the whole raid gets it. Now, inadvertently, what does this do? This reduces the value of shamans. Technically, it reduces the value of shamans because each heroism that you have does not stack on top of each other. Okay, having more heroisms in your raid does not become more valuable due to being able to chain heroisms together by swapping shamans into your group and then, okay, melee group heroism go. Okay, somebody in the middle of raid move this guy into the group, switch shamans, and then now this shaman does double heroism for another group, and then another group doesn't get heroism, right? Maybe like a group of healers or something won't get heroism now. It was just kind of cringe, man. Like, it's stuff like that is kind of cool. Like the management, like battleships management stuff can be kind of cool, but it gets to the point where it is so absurd. And if you're trying to like push to the nth degree, come on. It's unnecessary. You get 1 heroism, the whole raid gets it, and shamans are so valuable and so powerful, this isn't going to make it to where, oh no, I can't get into a raid because my shaman heroism doesn't matter anymore. Your totems are still incredibly powerful. You have elemental shamans, you have enhanced shamans, you have melee DPS, you have ranged DPS, you have resto shamans as healers. You're gonna be fine, okay? Technically, it like nerfs their value. In actuality, does not matter. Okay, and this is a very good change for the health of the game and the raiding scene in Burning Crusade. So this change, yes, good. Next thing, Terracone's respawn rate is increased and additional Terracone nodes have been added. So what is Terracone? Terracone is an herb. The H is silent. Is a herb. It's for herbalism where you go and you use it to craft like all the major elixirs. So is it all the battle elixirs? I think it's agility, and I know it's like haste potions. I know it's agility. I know it's like, I think the wisdom. Yeah, all stats, battle elixir. Yeah, so it's a bunch of the battle elixirs, right? So, well, this is a guardian elixir actually. Anyway, so here's what you use Terracone for. You use this to craft a bunch of different consumables for alchemists, right? They increase the respawn rate and they're adding more Terracone nodes. By doing this, they effectively increase the supply and reduce the demand. Now, I think them increasing the supply, they're not really reducing the demand. They're increasing the supply because the demand is so high. In the current culture of classic WoW, a lot of people raid with their full consumes, they have all their stuff ready, yada, 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 okay? People play the game very differently today than they used to. I think what they're doing is, in order to meet the demand that has increased over the years, they want to increase the supply. More respawn rate, more nodes. Now, this does affect the economy a little bit. You're pumping more materials out into the economy, so it's gonna reduce prices. That's the idea. Now, in practice, is that what's gonna happen? The idea of layers, the idea of the different layers is what has, that was supposed to account for having more people on a server, because there's more people on a server, there's more layers. Each layer of a server is basically like a copy of the size of the original server size back then, which was like roughly 3,000 people, okay? This happening, still, this is very delicate, I think. Like, you probably don't want to overdo it, but there's way more people raiding, like by percentage, there's way more people raiding, there's more people using consumables, there's more people playing like that than there was back then. So I do think this is probably a good change, but it's very delicate and they just have to monitor it and just see how it goes. And I don't think this is something that you're really going to get a good feel for in the PTR. Something like this is better done by being very agile. And this was the benefit of whenever we used to play on private servers years ago, like in old like Lights Hope and all that, like Nostalrius, Lights Hope, Elysium, whatever server you played on. Strength of those servers is that they're very mobile. They can make changes on a whim. They could be like, hey, this is bad, boom. Overnight, it's fixed. Middle of the day, boom, it's fixed. There's not this whole like checks and balances and you gotta go through the chain. Should we do this? Should we not do this? Blizzard's a big company. I think that they need to empower the classic team to just be like, hey, if you see something and it looks bad, change it. And if your change isn't good, change it back, change it to something else, and just boom. I think on a whim, they should be willing to change stuff, because that's how people, like, I think they don't operate that way out of fear. However, that's something that is good. People would rather you just try and fix things. And I think that this is something that is very delicate and should be dynamically looked at. I think this is something that as time goes on, they're like, wait, this is too much, we need to reduce it. Let me know what you guys think about this, because I think this is something that they just need to be on the ball for the entire expansion. Edit mode added as a quality of life option for players' user interfaces. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I can't think of a problem with that. Edit mode's kind of overwhelming. If the first time you see it, you're like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Whatever. It just allows you to move your stuff around without downloading add-ons for it. Heroic dungeons. Every player's first character will be required to become fully attuned, hitting revered reputation level, but upon doing so for each dungeon, players can then purchase a bag which contains a bind on Battle.net account key to send to alts. Alts must reach at least friendly reputation level to use the key and grant attunement to that character. Okay. I'm going to talk about this. I think that naturally, whenever you do something that heroic dungeons, then the next level of dungeon, it's like a hard mode for the dungeons, right? With better gear, all that stuff. It takes all the dungeons that you do while leveling from 60 to 70, makes them level 70, gives you some replay value for the dungeons, has some pretty cool loot, right? Pretty cool gear from there that you can get. You can also get other materials or whatever, right? Currencies. One of the things that is nice and something that especially vanilla WoW does well is it keeps players in the ecosystem of running like normal dungeons. Now, eventually your character is just gonna get to the point where you probably don't ever wanna run a normal dungeon, and that is fine, right? That's totally okay. The idea behind, okay, I'm gonna level an alt, and there's going to be other players that are playing on their main characters who have not played and gotten to the point where they're geared enough to do heroic dungeons, where they've played enough to have the reputation to be revered or higher to do heroic dungeons. So you need to have more people that are able to continue running those dungeons so that you have groups. So you have like a player social ecosystem going there that works, right? So people have talked about getting like account attuned for heroics in the past, and I've always been very against it. I've always been very against getting account attuned and all of a sudden you can take your ult into a heroic right away. The reason why is because you don't backfill and you have new players, and new players don't have anybody to play with, right? Especially if they don't have those relationships yet. It's not good. This, however, where friendly reputation is very easy to get, they're still making you play the game, and it still gives an opportunity. Like you don't have to get honored, you have to get friendly. Friendly is very easy, okay? You just run it a few times. I think something like this is good because on the flip side, Burning Crusade is very, very not alt friendly at its core. Like the original version of Burning Crusade was not very alt friendly. I think there were a couple of reasons for this. I think it was an oversight in design, but also back then, not everybody played a bunch of max level characters. Nowadays, things are different. People have min-maxed everything to the nth degree. Maybe they have a bunch of different characters, whatever, right? Even for me, like I've always really only played one. I like playing only one character. That's just how I play, right? I have my main, I put all my focus into it. Other people, altaholic. They like doing all kinds of stuff, and Burning Crusade was really bad for them. They even changed some stuff during Burning Crusade Classic to make it more alt-friendly. And I think this is a good middle ground sort of change, and see where it goes. Part of me says maybe they should make it honored first and then move it down if honored is too much. That's part of how I feel about it. But at the same time, this is something that happened with Burning Crusade Classic. Burning Crusade Classic came out, and it had some things wrong with it that were fixed pretty quickly in the grand scheme of things. They were pretty mobile with it, and they were much more open at changing things in Burning Crusade, and they were good changes, very good changes for the game. Things like how you could get PvP gear from like you can get extra tier tokens, and you could get last season's PvP gear just to give you like a little bit of catch up if you want to get into PvP, all that kinds of stuff. I do think they did a very good job with that. However, the reputation had been set, and there were a lot of people that turned their back on Burning Crusade, and then Burning Crusade grew again over time, but it took a while for people to realize how good Burning Crusade actually was. And in my opinion, it's my favorite expansion. I love it. I like it more than Wrath. I've always liked it more than Wrath, all that stuff. A lot of people disagreed with me back then, and then they played Wrath Classic, and they were like, damn, Burning Crusade was pretty damn good, wasn't it? You know? And to each their own, everybody likes something else, right? And that's fine. So overall, I would say this is like a decent change. I'd say this is a decent change. And possibly, this is at least, you know what? I take it back. This is at least a decent change. At its best, this is a really, really, really good change. But at the very least, it's decent. Every player's first character will be required to become fully attuned for each raid, but upon doing so, that raid will be unlocked for all players on the player's battle account. Raids, oh my gosh! All the raids will be post-nerf? That's real? Dude, what are they thinking? Okay, so I talked about this earlier. They nerfed Gruul's Lair and Magtheridon going into phase 2, and it was a massive mistake. It made it so not fun. It feels like a chore. Like I understand, like you need to be willing to make some changes and stuff. This is insane. Like I want to play Burning Crusade Classic again for PvP. That is my main focus. I want to go do arenas again. Me, Grayson, Settle or Kill a Wave, or we got our team together, we get our crew together. Like it'll be good, right? I'm still going to raid. I'm still gonna, this is like show up, clock in, clock out. Like what? When everything is they need to be agile. They need to be mobile, right? You need to just be like, okay, this is good, this is bad. We're gonna nerf it. We're gonna buff it. And I truly believe this is insane. This is complete insanity. Like this is like, it feels like a slap in the face. I'm gonna be honest. This makes me upset. I'm upset. I'm about to get pissed. This is wild. Because to me, it's so out of touch. Now I understand that there's a lot of people out there that like, oh, my guild broke apart because we couldn't kill Lady Vosh. And because our self-esteem was so low, we couldn't kill it. Oh, the streamer has all these players that are gonna be willing to carry him through the raids and this and that. And of course the streamer says this. Dude, there is tons of people that don't stream that cleared it, okay? Also, true. Also, true. But come on. There's a line, man. There's a line where you need to make sure the rate, you feel something. You need some degree of difficulty. And Gruul's Lair and Magtheridon post-nerf are miserably boring. They are so boring. I used to be so excited to run Gruul's. I used to be so excited to do Magtheridon. And it felt good completing it. It's not the hardest thing in the world. This isn't mythic rating in retail, right? We're not going out and, world first Dimensius kill. Okay, that's not what it is. And I get that, all right? And part of the reason why Classic WoW is so casual friendly is not because people always used to think Classic WoW is the most hardcore thing in the world. No, it's a very casual friendly game. And part of the reason for that is because you feel something. You need to have players of all skill levels be able to feel something. That is what casual friendly means. It does not mean completing the content. It does not mean getting all the gear. It means feeling something. That is what it's about. That is why people love this game. That is why people are so fixated on this game for 20 plus years, okay? It's because they felt something while playing it and they want to play it again. They want to do it. This is good for hardcore though, right? Who cares? I mean, it's easier, okay? So of course it's good for hardcore. But it's like, hardcore is such a small fraction of the player base. Hardcore is for stream content. I'm talking about the players, man. The players, Burning Crusade hardcore, no arenas, no battlegrounds, no world PvP. What, hello? Like flagship pieces of content with the expansion just thrown to the wind? Hardcore is not for the majority of the player base. It's just a fraction of the player base that want to do like a fun game mode. That's for stream content. It's not the actual game. Even as a huge hardcore fan, nobody cares about hardcore for TBC. What makes hardcore fun is a leveling experience, and TBC leveling is way easier than vanilla. I think if they were to do a Burning Crusade hardcore, it should be a separate server that is only Burning Crusade hardcore, meaning they should just have it be, you create your character and you can choose to start at level 1 or you can choose to start at level 60. And then that way, what happens? Maybe you shouldn't even choose to start at level 1. I don't know. This is like a kind of off the cuff idea that I have. If they make a Burning Crusade hardcore server and then they have their normal hardcore servers, then if there's not like a distinct difference between the two, then I think you're cannibalizing the player base that's already not very big. Starting at level 60 and having Burning Crusade hardcore servers and then having your natural 1 to 60 vanilla hardcore is like two separate things. And I think they should keep it that way. And then I think that you should have the option to start a character at level 1. Maybe you do like a Project 60 hardcore, I'm scratching and clawing for content or something type of thing where you can level from level 1. Or if you want to give players the agency to level from level 1 in Burning Crusade as a hardcore character, then you can do that, right? Hardcore is like it's a game mode. It's like a special game mode. It's not the game. It's not the whole of the game. Just sell level 60 boosts for hardcore. You're right, Sod tried Giga nerfed raids and it wasn't fun. Yeah, it just seems so out of touch. Like I'm shocked. I'm actually like floored by this. I think this is something so bad. I also think this isn't great, but I understand why they did this. So one of the big problems with guilds breaking up, so this was one of the problems with guilds breaking up, and this maybe addresses it a little bit. This giving everybody an attunement after they've done an attunement kind of has the same problem of, okay, well now there's new players that need to do their attunement and they don't have somebody else to do it with. But this isn't quite like the Onyxia attunement in vanilla. Raid attunements in Burning Crusade, they're all done through like different things that you would do anyway. So like heroic dungeons and other stuff. So it's not like you're doing anything in particular different like you would for the Onyxia attunement. You know, where maybe it'd be hard to go find somebody to go up into Winterspring and do some stuff or whatever, right? Or go behind Tolbarad area. It needs to just be able to give everybody a feeling of accomplishment whenever they do something. Yeah, it's like you're showing up to just like hit the loot pinata. And it's like, that's boring, man. It's boring. It's fun if you like have friends in your guild and it's fun to hang out with your guys and all that. Like it's fun to hang out with your crew. That's cool. But like the gameplay becomes boring, you know? I don't think it should be happening on launch. I think that's crazy. I'll tell you, the reason why they nerfed it is because guilds were breaking apart, okay? The reason why they nerfed Serpent Shrine Cavern and Tempest Keep was because guilds were breaking apart because people could not clear the raids, and then because they couldn't clear the raids, they were like, I hate this game now. So then so people would quit. Guilds were not quitting. Individuals were quitting. And I talked about this years ago. Individuals are quitting, but whenever those individuals quit, they couldn't backfill. They couldn't backfill their roster, and then they couldn't feel the full roster, and whenever you can't feel the full roster, that's whenever the raid breaks apart. That's whenever the guild breaks apart. It's not the whole guild quitting at once. This is a change that allows people to at least play alts in the raid. If there's a guild with 2 raid groups, then, you know, oh, I'm gonna play in both raids now. It's a little bit easier. But I don't think this is like really enough of a fix. What I would like to see them do, because the attunements, you know, it's just like a process, maybe they should just do a full-on overhaul of the attunements for the raids in Burning Crusade. Maybe there should just be a full-on overhaul of the attunements for the raids, and you can still make it like interesting, you know, but maybe you just cut some steps out so it doesn't take quite as long. And then that way, like if a new player, a new character is hitting level 70 and they want to get ready to raid, and let's say they don't have another character that's already attuned or whatever, then at least they can get it done a little bit faster. What would you guys feel about, how would you guys feel about that? How would you guys feel about them reworking the attunements? So the attunements don't feel like a chore, but also it's like, I mean, I'll be honest, I think redoing the attunements in a way that's like completely new and it's just something else entirely might even be kind of fun. Because if you've done like Burning Crusade a bunch of times, or you've already gone through this, then I think it might be nice to do something that's like new and interesting while also not being quite as tedious. How would you guys feel if they did that? Arenas, let's talk about, oh God, okay. This is really the core of what I care about in Burning Crusade. So let's see this. During the original Burning Crusade expansion, it felt good to make a team that started at 1,500 and throw together some people to participate in 10 games, to receive points each week without having to climb back up from 0. Oh, okay, I know where this is going. I hope it's good. I think I know where this is going. With Burning Crusade Classic Anniversary Edition, the re-release, we're interested in bringing that teams feeling back by encouraging players to participate in the system more than ever before. However, as we lean into the feeling of teams, we want you to be able to play with whoever you like without requiring you to make a team. So arena points earned are still based on your individual rating. Each character's rating now starts at 1,500 instead of 0. By the way, for Burning Crusade Classic, they made arena changes as well. Because originally it did start at 1,500, and then they changed it in Burning Crusade Classic to where you started at 0 and you worked up, like in the new system. It was like a hybrid sort of system. Once per week per character, you can pay gold to reset your rating back to 1,500. This is only possible if you're below 1,500 currently. Ratings above, okay, I was gonna say. Amazing. Okay, I thought this was gonna be like, dude, you're gonna have like the freaking gatekeepers being like, ah, like just beating 1,500 rating people into the ground. Just reset. Okay, that's what I thought it was gonna be. This is only possible if you're below 1,500 rating. Ratings above 1,500 cannot be reset. Okay, that's good. This part. The gold will vary based on your team's bracket. Each bracket, 2v2, 3v3, 5v5, has its own weekly reset. Okay, so I think this is funny. You get taxed for being bad at PvP. This is, you get taxed for being bad at PvP, basically. Zaryu said that could be tricky for boosting because good players could pay to start over and shit on noobs. Not really, because ratings above 1,500 can't be reset. So, no, that doesn't apply. They address it immediately. I think this is so funny. It's being bad at PvP taxed. Yeah, I think this is funny. So, okay, what does this mean? So your arena points that you get are, they're based on how much rating you have. So basically, if you go and you like lose 10 games, this raises the floor. Okay, this raises the floor for the amount. This is actually, by the way, I think this is an amazing change. I'm thinking about it more and more. This raises the floor for people to be incentivized because they, let's say, just want some PvP gear, they want some resilience gear. Then they'll pay, get to 1,500 rating, lose 10 games, and they get like some, you know, scraps, right? They get a few arena points. But that's better than they just constantly just lose every week. I think this does two things. This is going to change how ratings are scaled because you're gonna be adding more and more points into the ladder. And whenever you add more points into the ladder, it's then going to spread out the middle of the bracket a little bit. And in fact, it will incentivize people to play more. And one of the things I'm worried about with arenas is that there's not gonna be enough participation. If there's not enough participation, it's gonna kind of suck. Because you want people participating, and this will incentivize people, even bad players, to keep playing, because at least they can pay some gold, reset to 1,500, and at least get some arena points instead of just being like sub 1,000 rating. It'll inflate elos a little bit, it will. But I think it's fine. Mop Arena is dead, for example, because of this, or because it doesn't have this. Yeah, that's why I'm worried. I'm worried because like current Mists of Pandaria arenas are kind of just dead. And Burning Crusade Classic was insanely competitive. It was so fun. It was so fun. It was. I'm telling you, unbelievably. Burning Crusade Classic Arena is insane. It's so good. But if you don't have enough people playing, then it'll suck. There are no requirements in order to be able to purchase PvP gear for any pieces except shoulders and weapons. Was that not always the case? These ratings are off though. This used to be, didn't weapon used to be 1850? Weapon used to be 1850. So they're reducing what you need to get a weapon. I think these, oh man, this sounds insane. I think these are good changes. Like this is not in my own personal best interest, but I think this is a good change. Because it makes it easier to get a weapon at 1700 rating instead of 1850 rating. But like, that gets people to do arenas. 1850 is too high of a rating for a weapon for the average player. So they're way more, I mean, dude, 1700 seems way easier than 1850. So people are gonna be more incentivized to do arenas and it's going to put people into the ladder. I think that's really good. We want to maintain the prestige of earning some nice looking shoulders or titles for those competing for the top spots, but overall we'd like to make gearing up and participating in PvP more accessible at an entry level, particularly for players who might struggle to reach. This is a good change, man. Overall cost of PvP gear has been lowered slightly. This is probably done due to like the accelerated time for the seasons. The faction reputation PvP gear will now be sold starting with the first arena season. Faction reputation PvP gear. Oh, the blue set. Right. They added that blue set in Burning Crusade, didn't they? Or sorry, in Classic Burning Crusade, not in original. Yeah, okay. Okay, so let's talk about this. Yeah, the faction reputation PvP gear will now be sold starting the first arena season. So I talked a little bit earlier about how they made some changes for Burning Crusade to account for the times. So they added this blue PvP set based on reputation. So you could do dungeons, you get your reputation up, and then you could get like a starter PvP set to be serviceable in arenas, right? It wasn't as good as arena gear, but it was something serviceable, right? To at least help you get started. And I think it was comparable to the honor gear. Maybe somebody can correct me, but I'm pretty sure that this is something that they added in the middle of Burning Crusade. And I don't know if they added it in the original Burning Crusade, but I'm pretty sure that was something they just added new in Classic. I didn't use this gear because I had like the arena gear, but so I'm a little bit more, I don't remember quite well, but I do think it's good that if you have something like that, adding it in the first arena season in order to make arenas more accessible and to open the doors to more players is a good idea, right? Because they can do dungeons, they can get some resilience gear, whatever. Now, if you only want a PvP and you don't ever want to do any dungeons, then this is kind of bad for you, but it's okay. You'll get over it, okay? If you want a PvP in WoW, then you more than likely have some sort of weird addiction problem. So you're probably gonna be able to figure it out and do a few dungeons so that you can do arenas. Okay, I know, it's coming from me. Okay, I understand. The item set bonuses for each of the faction, oh yeah. They've been combined with their honor gear equivalents. Okay, we talked about that. Grand Marshal High Warlords, this means that players can get a mix of honor and reputation pieces to unlock the 2 and 4 piece set bonuses. Cool, okay. So that way you can't stack 2-2. You don't stack them 2-2, they'd be part of the same set. I think these PvP arena changes are actually good. This actually has me excited for arenas, for Burning Crusade. This is the main thing this is the main reason why I want to play Burning Crusade again is because of this. This is like a slap in the face. Right here, I really dislike this. I like this. I think the rest of this is good. Actually, dude, so far, this is a massive slap in the face, but the rest of this is pretty good. Realm type transfers and feature updates. For those Classic Anniversary players who prefer their characters not continuing to Burning Crusade Classic Anniversary, free character transfer from Anniversary to Classic Era will be for a limited time starting November 25th. The option to move Classic Anniversary characters to Classic Era realms will close on January 12th. After January 12th, 2026, players will no longer be able to move their Classic Anniversary characters to Classic Era, and the characters remain on Classic Anniversary to continue Burning Crusade. So is it a move or is it a copy? Because they allowed you to copy in the past for a fee, and I think they should provide that again. You can either transfer for free or you can copy for like $10. There's no copies as of right now. I think that they should, if they can, they should offer that. Realm type transfers and feature updates. For those Classic Anniversary players who prefer their characters not, oh, I already read that, sorry. Anniversary Hardcore. There are no Burning Crusade Hardcore realms. During the transfer window, players with characters on Anniversary Hardcore will have the option to transfer to normal Anniversary so that those characters will continue to Burning Crusade Classic Anniversary. I hate that you can't go from hardcore to PvP. I think you'd have way more people playing on hardcore servers if you could transfer to PvP. Way more. I hate that they can't do that. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand why they make you go to PvE. Players who do not move their anniversary hardcore characters to normal anniversary will stay on the current realms, and transfer destinations available to these characters will change to non-hardcore classic era realm destinations. This means that the anniversary hardcore character who meets their untimely end will be able to transfer to classic era realm and return to living. Okay, that's good. So if you do it before January 12th, you can have your hardcore character go to Burning Crusade. Classic era. When making your decision to transfer, please consider that the group finder tool and dual spec feature will soon be added to classic era. This means that new and existing characters on classic era realms will have the option to learn dual spec. At the same time, rule sets between anniversary hardcore and the original hardcore realms will be aligned. This means that the original hardcore realms will receive dual spec, instant mail, and dungeon finder. Wait. Dual spec and hardcore makes hardcore way more fun. Dude, dual spec and hardcore immediately makes hardcore way more fun. Because you know how bad it is like playing a class that can heal and then like you need to spec for healing and then you need to spec for, you know, like it's like if I have a dual spec and I have like my healing talents and then my solo leveling talents, that's great. However, Classic Era has already gone through changes, and it's because of the amount of versions of the game that they have and like how things are. This has been a problem because their idea with Classic Era was that Classic Era was gonna be like vanilla WoW, like at the end of Classic, just how it was, and it was just gonna stay that way. But since then, they've added like SOD and they've done things in Anniversary and they changed this and they changed that. Things have been changing in Era, and originally people were really upset about it. Personally, I was not a dual spec person. I did not like dual spec. I'm not a fan of dual spec, not a dual spec guy. However, I think that I was wrong. I have my reasons for not liking dual spec as much, which is funny because I'm like I'm a respec-aholic, but I feel like I was wrong about not liking dual spec. The reasons are still valid, right? Meaning like the problems with the gold sync, and providing more gold sync, the sort of like social aspect of like going into major cities and respecking and stuff. I think those things are still valid. I think it's not as much of a problem as I initially thought it was whenever in the past I thought that dual spec was not gonna be a good change. I think Burning Crusade Classic Anniversary, everything except for the raid changes, I think is pretty promising. I actually think overall it's pretty promising. I do think that this right here needs to be reconsidered. Significant. I think, you know what my opinion is? My opinion, you don't ever nerf Gruul. You don't ever nerf Magtheridon. Honest opinion. And I think when Serpent Shrine and Tempest Keep come out, I think they come out pre-nerf. I don't think you nerf them. If it's that much of an issue and you want to apply the nerf that was originally applied in Burning Crusade 2007, okay? If you want to apply that nerf, I think you don't make it as severe as it was in Burning Crusade Classic, because the same thing happened where the Kael'thas fight and the Lady Vashj fight just got kind of boring. You need to not make the nerf nearly as severe as it was. That's how I feel. If you guys don't like post-nerf raids, leave a comment and say what your suggestion would be. For me, I think like Gruuls and Magtheridon should not be nerfed until Black Temple comes out. And I think that SSC and TK, like Lady Vashj and Kael'thas, should not be nerfed as heavily as they were in Burning Crusade Classic. And I don't think they should be nerfed on launch. I think they should, if they're gonna nerf them, they should wait until the time is right. I think it should be Black Temple, but it might be before that. Are you planning on raiding seriously or something? Otherwise, why care? Because I care about the health of the game. Regardless of whether or not if I was playing the game or not, I care about the health of the game. Like this is something that's like super, super important to me. Like on a very personal level. Like I love this game. I love WoW. I love Classic. I love WoW too, but I don't plan on seriously raiding, so I don't care about it that much specifically. Yeah, I mean, I'm just parasocial with WoW. I'm parasocial with Burning Crusade. I just want it to be good. So, look, I'm very, very, very excited for Burning Crusade Classic. I've been waiting a long time to get to go back. I want to run the arenas again. That's the main reason why I want to play again. I have a character on Night Slayer, and I know I'm Esfand, the human rep paladin, all that stuff, but I'm considering playing Horde. Okay, I think for this run we might run Horde. I know. yeah, for this time around, I think like I might be a double agent. I know. I might be a double agent, but and my roots, okay? I still fight for the Alliance. I know. The tomatoes are getting thrown, I know, okay? But this is something that I need to do. And that Blood Elf silence is so BS and so overpowered. And I hate it. I have to harness it. I don't know what Grayson's gonna do, but Grayson and I are gonna arena again together. So Grayson and I have been talking about doing arenas again. And yeah, so we're gonna run it back. That was some really good times and I love it. Everything aside, overall, Burning Crusade announcement, everything really good, minus the raid change. I hope they've changed the raid stuff. Like I said, let me know in the comments below what you guys think. And make sure to subscribe, like, all those things. I love WoW, I love Classic. Dude, I'm getting the juice back, okay? I've been out of the game for a while, but I'm feeling the juice coming back, okay? I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the juice coming back, chat. I might pick up my sword, and we gotta fight for Classic Plus. We got our Burning Crusade back. The next step, Classic Plus, okay? It's coming. I believe I gotta wave that banner for Classic Plus. That's the next goal. Is that Cloud Sword from Final Fantasy VII? Troll. All right, very good.